Hi there, Phil Pendlebury here, and this is just a quick tutorial to show you how to customize the appearance of the EZbass basses. I did a little video the other day about how to import audio and so on, and a couple of people have mentioned that they quite liked the look of the basses, so here's how it's done. There's two basses. There's the modern one, which you can see there. Then there's the vintage version, which I particularly like. And just so that you know, I started off with this little dragon tattoo here because it's very similar to something that I have on my actual guitar. So let's get into it. It's really simple, depending on what software you're using to edit and so on. So let's just, let me just revert back to the original and show you how it's done. So first thing you want to do is find the location where you installed your Toontrack files. Here is mine. I've got it on an SSD drive with all my samples, and as you can see there, Toontrack, EZbass. There's all the drum kits and everything else there as well. But as this was the latest installation, there it is, EZbass right at the top. And you'll go inside there, you'll see the two models and you'll see the MIDI. So let's go into the vintage model. There's a few things. There's the sound files, which are compressed into these OBW files. And the folder we want is the graphics folder here. And this folder contains all the little animations and little subtle things. But it also contains the actual bass itself. It's a PNG file. There's also the background there. I actually considered changing the amp into something a little bit and hanging some things around the room just for a bit of fun. But I didn't bother with that. And then the extra layer contains the little silver or chrome bridge, which I didn't touch. So there's the PNG file that contains the bass. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is back up the original file. So copy, paste, there it is. I'm going to rename that so that we have a backup of the original in case anything goes wrong. And we still have the original there. So then the next thing I'm going to do is rename the original. And in this particular case, I'm going to call it Bass Vintage Fill, so I know what I'm working with. So the next step is to open up our photo editor. The file that I've named Bass Vintage Fill, let's pull that in. There it is. You can see it's transparent. And then what I did was I had a little search around to find some transparent PNG files that looked nice. It's as simple as that. So I did a couple as well where I actually masked them out myself because they didn't have transparent backgrounds. But let's just pick one that has a transparent background for now. It makes it nice and simple. There we go. Let's pick the peacock and we'll drag that in. So as you can see, transparent background. All right, so the first thing is, how's that going to fit onto there? Well, what I did was I just basically copy and paste it in so you can see. And then I will sort of drag it around a little bit until I feel that it's you know, going to line up, maybe make it a bit smaller. And this is obviously not the one that I ended up using in this particular case, but let's just do that. All right, so let's put it something like that with the little hairy bits just hanging over the edge. There's a lot of mess there, isn't there? So that was that. I'll apply that. Again, this may be different how you do it in your particular graphics program, but you get the idea. So then I'm going to select the object and just adjust the transparency a little bit. Not completely, but I just want it to blend in a little bit. So we do that just by adjusting the transparency. And that's that. Then I'm going to zoom right in. I've got my eraser tool. And with the eraser tool, what I'm going to do is basically erase what I've just put on. Pick a nice big one here. And as you can see, what's going to happen there is you're going to see underneath coming back through. So first of all, I do quite heavy, which gets rid of all the artifacts, as it were. So we'll do a little bit down there as well. Then I'm going to go around the edges and just kind of blend in a little bit so it looks like it's just been laid on. And even actually on the curvature of the outside of the base itself, I want to make this a little bit more transparent. Maybe we'll stick with the big brush here and we'll just use the edge of the brush. So basically, yeah, that looks loads better, doesn't it? And then we get rid of all these bits here. So you're still seeing the beauty of the actual original graphic that was done by Toontrack. So there you go. The other thing was, yeah, things like this, the pick guard here. I wouldn't have thought that you would overlay a tattoo or a whatever you want to call it, a sticker onto that. And the other thing was, if you lay things over where the strings are, okay, let's just quickly do one of those right now. So let's just pull in another clip and you'll see. So let's pull in the green swirl, whatever that is. Okay, there it is. So this one I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it on. I have to make it fit. It's a bit random, obviously, because I'm rushing a bit here to get this so that it's done. So the key is add some transparency and then take the eraser and make sure that anything that wouldn't normally be part of an overlay doesn't have any graphic on it. See, I don't like that little bit there, and the edges need smoothing and so on. But apart from that, the other side to this is these little shadows that are done for the strings. So what you want to do there, and again this could be done much better, but what I tend to do is I'll start here with the eraser. I'm holding down my control key so it's going to draw a straight line, and I'm just going to do that so that the shadows from the strings actually fall over the top of that one. I messed up, but you get the idea. So that they fall over the top of the actual graphic, because the shadow would be on top of the graphic, wouldn't it? So when we're done, we'll save the file exactly as it is. All the objects will be merged, so this is all permanent now. Obviously, if you wanted to come back and edit this later, you would have saved that as an actual project file. See, I've still not got this quite right around the edge here. And actually that looks a lot better than I thought it would. And obviously the text looks ridiculous, but it was just to show the end result. So I've saved that as it is, base vintage fill, and we're out of the program now. So next step, we have a quick check of that. Yep, there it is, base vintage fill. And then we're going to copy base vintage fill, paste, and we're basically just going to name this now base. So what we've got is we've got the original base vintage backup, we've got mine base vintage fill, which is named. Both of those are for the purpose of backups, and the actual file in use is just base, and there it is. So now if we load up EZbass, we should find that the vintage base takes on what we'd just done. And there you have it, with the terribly horrible text. But I actually do quite like that little bit around the bridge there, to be honest. Okay, so there you go. So that's how to customize the appearance of the EZbass bases. Thanks a lot for listening and watching. See you again soon.